Hello, my name is Colin. I work as a paramedic. My current role is that of a field training officer. I consider my job as an FTO to help provide students with a more structured and positive first experience on the ambulance that I had. And this is my dog Liam. Say hi, Liam. Or not. I have to admit to feeling pretty uncomfortable talking about myself, so instead I'll start by describing my experience with education. My younger brother and I were very fortunate that our parents put us through an atypical elementary school program and high school program. We went to school on an all-organic farm out in California, and the school followed the Waldorf curriculum, which was designed by a German philosopher sometime after World War I. His goal was to create more well-rounded people so that the atrocities of World War I wouldn't happen again. And he felt that all learning had to be led by the student, because you can't truly know something until you discover it and internalize it for yourself. But that happens as different steps as you develop and go through the ages. So all of the education was meant to be really age appropriate and was a little bit more delayed than the average elementary school might go through today. So I understand kids are learning to read in like kindergarten or first grade. We weren't allowed to really learn to read until first or second, almost third grade, because Rudolf Steiner believed that when you're 9 years old is roughly when you start developing the id, or you have that internal voice that can really think in the first person. Other than that, kids younger than that are really just experiencing the world through kind of experiential, kind of relating to it without really having that solid internal dialogue. And then in addition to the curriculum, we also learned to express ourselves through art. And Steiner believed that you had to connect both sides of the brain through movement and through music. So we all had to play a musical instrument. And all that really meant is that my brother and I spent our childhood surrounded by nature, working with our hands, learning how the world worked in a really experimental way, and eating lots of really good organic food.
So this is my teacher. So he followed us in my class from first all the way through 8th grade. And just to really highlight how different of a learning environment this was than the traditional kind of public school, I'm going to share a couple of video clips from the school's promotional video so you can see the campus itself and some of the philosophy of the teachers.
One of the core things that Waldorf education tries to do is to really have a vision for who the child is in front of you. And that vision includes more than just how they're performing on a test. Waldorf teachers try to keep primary in their mind, who is this child becoming? And we may never even see what genius will come from our students, but we know that genius lives in each of them. And that can only happen in an environment where questions are open and one is free to be who they are.
We try not to give answers. We try not to give concepts that are dead, but concepts that have life to them, that they can grow. In a science lesson, the students observe a phenomenon or they take part in it. They come back the next day and they try to figure out what happened. Instead of the teacher telling them what will happen and can you make it happen, there's this possibility of discovery. When discovery becomes a vital force in the classroom, then the learning can be alive.
At Summerfield, the most meaningful part of the school is the faculty.
You can really engage with your teachers and build relationships, and for me that has really helped my education.
The children's cheeks are red, their eyes are sparkling, and they're excited to learn. Hearts are open, minds are open, the students are open to new ways of thinking, feeling themselves into the world. That gives the children this sense of connectedness, that everything's connected and I'm part of it.
The art here is really meaningful. It gives this reflection and mirror. You really learn about yourself because you take something that's in reality and then through yourself try to convey it again. I think that's kind of more important than just learning all these facts because it's something you can apply later in life to any field pretty much.
Because there's a huge emphasis on art, you can find a way of learning that works specifically for you.
The way we make all of our own textbooks, like the main lesson books, it gives you like this chance to take it all in, and like just making it our own makes the material sink in more. You also learn about yourself through doing that.
My background in EMS education is also very different than the average path. I got my EMT certification in 2 weeks through a program that rented out an extended stay hotel. And so you would go there and stay for 14 days. And we had lecture 12 hours a day for 14 days straight. We did one ride along with a private ambulance agency. And then I went and took my national registry for EMT and started working for a company shortly thereafter with zero FTEP process. It was just, here's the keys, go make me money. And we did critical care, 911, and BLS and facility transports. So got thrown right into the deep end with not a lot of experience. And that's what I mean when I say that now as an FTO, I try to make sure that people have a better, more structured introduction to EMS. And while my EMT education was probably too short, I almost feel that my paramedic education was almost too long. I did a 4-year paramedic program up at Jefferson College, which has since been bought out by Radford. But that meant that I did clinicals for 3 years in addition to all the didactic training.
One of my favorite things about our schedule is the amount of time off that we can have. I think one of my mottos in life is that we work to live and we don't live to work. So I contrast that with my dad, who described that he worked a job that he said was soul-sucking so that he could ensure that he could retire young enough to live a life after, but also that my brother and I could do something more meaningful with our lives. So he has since built a sailboat, and we try to meet up with him as often as we can to enjoy adventures on that. So I'd like to share a few clips of that because I think that helps capture who we are outside of work. So that's Ruby, my parents' dog. And this is video from Dad's sailboat down in the Sea of Cortez in Mexico. So it was Dad's dream to retire onto a sailboat. So he built this thing out of wood and fiberglass and has a whole vlog and YouTube channel now dedicated to it. And I just learned from him to have the tenacity to try something, trial by air. So we do lots of DIY projects around the house, and then I've got a camper project as well. So it's all inspired by him and this boat project. And here's a few more clips from his vlog.
April was a great time for cruising. Still a little cold for being in the water, but man, the sky was gorgeous. Fishing has commenced. What do we have? Like a little bonita, what are those called?
Amberjack tuna?
Amberjack tuna, that sounds about right. That'll feed, yeah, maybe a couple pounds.
Yeah.
That'll make some tacos. Well, Miss Ruby, you're an excellent boat dog. You make us laugh every day, except you lick our faces too much. Hope we get some great sailing adventures together in 2026. Until then, everybody, thanks for watching another video.
And then lastly, I just wanted to share my inspiration for taking this class. I recently had the pleasure of being the dedicated FTO who got to lead the EMS Academy for my department. So I got to spend 6 weeks with Academy 48, who just graduated here last week. It was a pleasure and really got me over my fear of public speaking, and I felt like I started to learn how to give a lecture and really might actually enjoy doing that at some point later in my career. Thanks y'all for watching. Look forward to being in class with you.